He grabs the chair. And this is the party chair. Not to be confused with the Shield chair. This is the party chair. Oh! So it is Friday, which means it is one day before, not EWW for once, but actually PRW, Punk Rawk Wrestling. Now, it's a little bit more of an adult show. I don't know how much of it I'm going to actually be able to show you, because there is also live music, and I always feel weird about filming bands and whatnot, just because, you know, that you're there to enjoy it live. I'm not a filming like that kind of thing. But we'll see what happens, right? Because it's my first time going to Punk Rawk. It's their first show as well, so that's actually really interesting. And yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm missing all in. I'm missing all in for that, right? I can't wait to come back from Punk Rawk, catch up on All In, and everyone's going to spoil it for me. They're going to go, oh my god, Hangman won. We're praying for that. We're praying for that. Hopefully that happens. So here we are, back on the bed after Punk Rawk Wrestling. As you can see here, I've got the shirt as well. So I was going to release it on the Sunday, but one, I had like All In, Saturday night's main event. I watched my first ever Dragon Gate show as well. So there's a lot going on. And two, well, like, I just kind of wanted to be able to actually collect my thoughts on it for a bit. Because when you think about it, it's a very different vibe to a lot of the other shows I've gone to. And I kind of explained it on the first bit I showed you there, which is, you know, for one, it was an 18 plus show. So it was a lot more like hardcore. People were drinking. It just had a different vibe to EWW, which, you know, I've gone to many a time now, and I will be going in November as well. But the vibe was different in a good way, I would argue, because, I don't know, it felt a lot more like everyone could just do what they wanted to do, and it kind of opened up that to a lot more of a fun standard, I guess. Not to say that EWW shows aren't fun, I always enjoy them, but I came out of this thinking that it was the best show I've watched live, and I've gone to 12 wrestling shows at this point, live and in person, and this stands above all of them, because it was so different. Because, I guess I'll just let the video that I recorded at the end of the show, I'll let that kind of speak for itself for a second. So yeah, that was Punk Rawk. Immediate thoughts, mother?
Brilliant.
Probably the best show we've ever been to, man. Like, don't get me wrong, EWW is fantastic, like, storylines, match-wise, work rate. But Punk Rawk was just so unapologetically just itself. Some of the matches on the show were genuinely incredible. I haven't even been drinking. This is the thing. I'm just running on, like, being awake for about 17 hours. So, yeah. But, like I said, probably the best show we've ever been to, and this also marks what? Show? Huh?
Yeah, we're going to the next one.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we're definitely going to the one in February. Obviously we're going to Invasion, we're going to Forbidden Door, we're planning on going somewhere else after, during Forbidden Door weekend if we can, either Pro Wrestling Eve, or maybe Rev Pro. I'll have to have a look at the card to see if tickets are still available, but it's a long ass way away from where we're staying, so probably not. So, for those that don't know, for those that are unaware, I am looking to try and watch 100 wrestling shows live before I'm 30, which is super fucking easy if you're American. It's impossible if you're British. Which is why I'm getting a passport, because I'm gonna have to go to some international shows if I want to hit the fucking 100 mark. I'm gonna have to, like, head on out to, like, America on like a WrestleMania weekend and just bang out like 12 shows over that weekend. I'm just gonna have to. Like, do a bunch of it. I'm rambling. You can tell I've been awake for like 17 hours. I don't know how much of this is gonna make it. Yeah, I don't know how much of this is actually gonna make it to the video, but yeah, no, brilliant. Probably back to future Byron for some thoughts on the show when he's actually like properly awake. So let's first off start by talking about the marketing, right? So at first they were like, okay, it's gonna be an 18 plus show, there's live wrestling, there's live music, you know, get your tickets and all of that. And I was very lucky. Me and my mum who went, we were both very lucky because we've gone to pretty much every EWW show since they came back after the, you know, the thing that shut the world down. And because of that, the booker and the promoter of Punk Rawk reached out to us and were like, hey, you know, you guys are regulars wrestlers for EWW, would you like the link to get the tickets early? And I looked at my mum and I went, hey, I've got the money, let's go for it. So we ended up getting VIP tickets really early, and that allowed us to sit front row, which we kind of typically do. But this venue, I feel like, definitely benefits from being closer to the ring, because, well, if you quickly look at this video whilst I'm talking, you'll see that there was no real way to sit on other sides of the ring. So it really was kind of like a different vibe, because all of the wrestlers were kind of playing to one side of the ring, which, I guess kind of like, it's a different vibe, because that feels more like a theatre performance, like a stage performance, something I did back in like the GCSE drama, but it definitely gave it a different vibe. And with the venue being smaller than what EWW typically do, it made it feel a lot more intimate, right? Like there were a lot more chants that people were doing, people were getting more invested, the wrestlers were actively kind of like talking to the crowd during matches. It felt a lot more alive, I guess you could say. And I feel like that's probably what did it for me, was that it just felt more like, hey, here's this like group of friends who just so happen to be wrestlers and punk rock musicians coming together and creating this really cool show. And honestly, you could just tell that like everyone worked really hard to get this off the ground. And yeah, there's a show coming up in February for it as well. I will be going because, my God, I had so much fun. So now it's time to talk about the wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers who were on this card you will have seen or heard me talk about in previous EWW videos. So I'll just kind of gloss over who was there that's typically on those shows. So you got Cyrus Shade, who is like one of my favorites. He was in the main event, great dude. You got Grayson Dawn, Corvus, two fantastic talents. The man formerly known as Brother Matthew, now Mad Dog Matt, he's a great wrestler. I feel like I say this a lot of the time. I think he's fantastic as well. You've got Lupo Lee, you've got Felix, and yeah, that's kind of all of the characters that you'll have known from previous videos. I don't really need to talk about them all too much, except for the fact that like all of them were great, and I think in this setting I think all of them were better in a way, because you got to see more of their personalities and you got to see more of them shine throughout the matches. So let's talk about the people that we haven't seen. So first off, we got to talk about, I would say, probably the most talked about person after Punk Rawk Wrestling, and that's a guy who goes by Monkey Man or Monkey Nuts, which sounds like an insane gimmick, and trust me, it is. You'll see the video here as I'm talking about it, but it was genuinely such an insane gimmick. And what happened after his match was also brilliant, and I'll talk about it. So this is a dude who's a luchador who is basically just a monkey man, right? Like he speaks like a monkey, he wrestles barefoot, etc. But he's incredibly athletic. He did a jump from the top of the rope to the outside. He parkoured off a wall. There's a lot more things that I probably can't mention on YouTube. This is the one thing that is going to be a big problem with this video, is there's so many spots that I want to talk about that I don't think I can get away with talking about on YouTube. So if there is ever a way to watch Punk Rawk shows, I will let you know, because I genuinely think it is worth checking them out. Yeah, no, Monkey Nuts was brilliant. I figured out that he is another wrestler who's on the EWW roster, who I won't say who it is, but because I was like, bro, he needs to be on EWW, he needs to be. And I was like, the gears started turning a bit later on in the show, and I was like, oh my God, it's him. So hey, problem solved there. Right there. So Monkey Nuts was in a triple threat with Lupo Lee and Felix, and they had a fantastic match. Lupo playing the heel again, which he's been doing that for ages as Brother Lupo, so it felt like it made the most sense. And hey, they've got a made monkey in Monkey Nuts, which, hey, you know what, I feel like I'm gonna say this: if Punk Rawk ever bring in a belt or a championship or whatever, I feel like Monkey Nuts has to be one of the front runners for that championship. I really do. Fantastic character, overlight rove with the crowd, more than deserving of being potentially the first champion. in my opinion. Then we have Ollie Fern, who was in the first match, and she's actually really good. I've heard of her throughout the indies a little bit, and I think she was on a Pro Wrestling Eve show recently, so there's that. Really good wrestler, not really much else to say other than really good babyface wrestler, and I would love to see more of her, maybe on EWW, maybe on Punk Rawk. Who knows? But then we get into our opponent, whose name I don't know if I can actually say on YouTube. Nigel Shitler, that's right. You can kind of tell because, as I always say, whenever I talk about a wrestler, you get to see what they're doing as I talk about them. You'll see exactly who he's based off of and why I'm saying I don't know if I can really talk too much about this character on YouTube, but very, very funny heel character, and honestly, I want to see more, I can't lie. Really, really fun pastiche wrestler, which, hey, we need more of those. We need more of those in wrestling, trust me. And then we have Toxic Masculinity, who I think was genuinely another fantastic character on this show. Now, dare I say it, that there are a lot of similarities between Toxic Masculinity and Nigel Shitler. Definitely not the same person. Really, really fun heel character as well. Put one of the members of the band through a table, which led to a fantastic moment, I think. But yeah, I don't think there was anyone on this show that I was like, everyone was fantastic. Everyone knew what they were doing, and everyone just had a fun time and had a good time and had a good showing and genuinely had a fantastic show. So then we're going to get into the bands. There were two bands who did 2 sets each. There were the Credentials and the Moody Goods. Both were really fun for different reasons. I don't have footage because, as I said earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of recording bands just because I'm like, they're there for the concert and for the set, right? And it's like, you know, if you want to check out their work, I'm sure you can find them somewhere. The Credentials were hilarious, and that was the band whose frontman, the lead singer, got put through a table, which, hey, you know, big props to you. And then the Moody Goods were all wrestling fans, and they flat out said, hey, performing in a wrestling ring, because everybody did music in the ring, which was fantastic as well. Such a nice, like, something that you don't really see, especially within indie wrestling, I think, is having live acts perform in the ring and doing, like, all of that, and the setup and all of that was fantastic too. And I think everyone did a really, really good show. Like, granted, there were earplugs, but that's because the acoustics in the hall were really bad and it was very echoey, and I kind of needed to save my eardrums because obviously, you know, I'm a working man and I can't walk around going, what's going on for like the next week or whatever. So yeah, I had earplugs, but I could still hear everything. The music was great, people had a fun time, and yeah, the beers were flowing. I didn't drink any personally. I'm not really a beer guy, but hey, you know, great time had by all. Am I gonna go again? Like I said, yeah, absolutely. February 14th. I know Valentine's Day, but it is what it is. I will be going, and that's gonna cross off another one on my road to 100 wrestling shows, and who knows, maybe the second show will be my favorite one I'll ever go to. I know I'm going to Forbidden Door next month, but honestly, I still think Punk Rawk might be my favorite just because of the vibe, right? Everything felt so fresh and unique, and it felt very much like a passion project that I'm so glad was able to take off, because you could see everyone was super proud about being a part of it, and everyone was super proud at the crowd because it was a sellout crowd and everything, right? And it was fantastic. And honestly, yeah, I can't wait to go to I can't wait to go to another, and I can't wait to keep going to indie wrestling because, oh my god, it's so much fun. More indie wrestling stuff here. YouTube really thinks you'll like this video, so consider checking that out if you've already checked out all of them. See ya!